Welcome into another edition of Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard, and before we get it started, please subscribe down below. Please leave any comments you got for me as I'm going along today. And this is Mavs Latest, Dallas Mavericks all day long with me, Josyah Howard. But let's start here. NBA.com's Sean Powell. He was able to break down the top players in the Western Conference, and the Dallas Mavericks forward Anthony Davis. He made that list coming in at number 6, and he obviously was included in that Luka Doncic trade back in February. And Sean Powell, he details that his shooting range, his post up skills draw double teams, while his rebounding and shot blocking make him nearly impossible to replace. Unfortunately, his constant fragility puts his teams in such a position because, with him being injury prone, you never know if he is going to make the full season. You never know. He's just not going to play a full season for you, and you have to bake that in when you have someone like Anthony Davis on your team. And since the trade, he only played 9 games with Dallas, playing that first game, and then after that first game, looking fantastic. And no one will really ever forget that first Anthony Davis game, and especially that first half where he just went absolutely crazy. Um, but he is still under the team's control through 2027 with a $62.7 million player option in 27-28. Depending on how these next couple years go, Anthony Davis more likely than not will accept that player option. So you also have to take that into consideration, not only if you're the Mavericks keeping him on your team, but if you're the opposition trying to trade for him in a possible, you know, the Mavericks decide, all right, we got to get as much value for AD as we can at this point. But, you know, sixth best player in the West. I don't hate that just off the. I haven't looked at the list. I'm looking at the sporting news with this as well. Um, Off the top of my head, Luca, SGA, Anthony Edwards, LeBron is obviously still somebody that is in contention in the Western Conference for that. Jokic. So yeah, I mean even six is kind of generous because just listing people off the top of my head, Steph Curry. We could easily get to six in my mind. So, Sean Powell pretty complimentary of Anthony Davis, if you ask me. If he could stay healthy, he probably is the sixth, seventh best player in the West. But it's if he stays healthy, and I don't have confidence that Anthony Davis is going to stay healthy for a full season. I just don't. But at the end of the day, he will be the team's best player, at least in the short term. So they need to rally around him. Hopefully, he can stay healthy because he will be a major key on if the Mavericks will be not just a contender, but even in playoff contention. And a lot of that rides on Anthony Davis's shoulders. But to move on here today on Mavs Latest, ESPN, they did a Cooper Flagg forecaster. Um, you know, MVP prediction, NBA title predictions, his impact on Dallas, etc., etc. They set the stage by saying, bringing up the fact that Nico Harris has said they're in win now mode at Cooper Flagg's introductory press conference back in July. And they started off by saying Flagg and the Mavericks will finish blank in 2025-2026. The last number one pick to play in the playoffs as a rookie, actually a tie, Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. They did it together in 2017-2018. The process finally paid playoff dividends. Um, so yeah, they say outside of the postseason, 3.8%, an 11 seed to 15 seed in the play in 7 to 10 seed to 73% from the group. In the playoffs, 5 6 seed, 23% of the group, and no one amongst the group thinks they will be a top 4 seed this season. How many series will Flagg, AD, and Kyrie win together in his career? 7% of them say none of them will win a title. Excuse me, a playoff series together. 30% of them think one playoff series. 26% say two playoff series. Three say uh, three playoff series, 19%. Four playoff series, 3.8%. Five playoff series wins or more, 7.7%. And six or more playoff series wins, 3.8% of the polling group at ESPN for this article. All right, so there's a small percentage that think this group's going to be massively successful, and there's a bigger group that thinks they'll be pretty solid, but not that crazy. Cooper Flagg will make his first All Star appearance. 3.8% think he will make the All Star game this year. 30.8% of that group thinks next season. The following season, 57.7% of the group. So 57.7 of this group think that Cooper Flagg year 3 is his first All-Star game, and 7.7% of the group think year 4 is his first All-Star game. I will call year 2 being his first All-Star game. I'll be a part of that 30.8%. How many All-Star MVP awards will Cooper Flagg win? Uh, 0, 34% of the group. 1, 46% of the group. 2, 15% of the group. 3 MVP, 0% of the group. 4 or more, 3.8% of the group. I will say I will be a part of the 46.2. I will have Cooper Flagg at 1 MVP. I just think MVP is just a weird vote nowadays, and I think he'll have that one crazy season, the one narrative year, the one that SGA got, the one that Joel Embiid got, the one that James Harden got. I think he has one of those types of MVPs in him, but I don't know if he gets more than that. How many NBA titles will Cooper Flagg win? 7% say 0, 76% say 1, 7.7 say 2, 3 say 7.7, 4 or more, 0%. Just based on where the parity's at in the NBA, I'm going to go with the 76.9% and say 1. I think he's great enough to where even if it's not with Dallas, he might go somewhere else and win a championship. But I do think he's too good not to win one. He's just such a winning player. I just think eventually he'll win one somewhere, no matter if it's Dallas or not. How many teams will Cooper Flagg play for in his career? 1, 3.8%. 2 say 50. 2 teams, 53.5%. 3 teams he'll play for in his career, 34% of the group, and 4 or more, 7.7% of the group. I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say that 53.8%. I do think eventually Cooper Flagg finds his way to a Northeast team, get a little closer to home. But dependent on how, Dallas handles him these next 5-6 years, get that Supermax contract possibly. He could play for Dallas for a very long time, but I just don't see him being in Dallas forever. And the Luka Doncic trade tells me that that's a real possibility. Then they say, where will Cooper Flagg land in 2025? And he says top 25, 0%. Top 26 player to top 50 player, 15%. Top 51 player to top 75 player, 53%. Top 76 player to top 100 player, 30%. Yeah, I think ESPN's getting it right in this category. I'd say around that 51 to 75 best players in the league by the end of the year for sure. I'd put him in that range by the end of the year when he gets used to the league, when the game slows down for him a little bit more. I think, I think between 70 and 65 is not outrageous for him ending his season. So, good forecaster by ESPN. And one more thing on Cooper Flagg before we move on. One of his summer league jerseys just sold for nearly $100,000. An NBA sanctioned auction for Cooper Flagg's first jersey from his matchup against Bronny sold for $95,250. It was an unsigned jersey, which makes you wonder what it could have sold for if he would have signed it. So wow, yeah, almost 100K for an unsigned used Cooper Flagg jersey. But moving on to a topic that is coming very familiar on this show, and Noah Weber brings it up again here on Smoking Cuban. It's time for the Mavericks to make this trade that they inevitably have to make, whether they like it or not. Dante Exum was brought back in. He is signed, and he's not officially with the team because that roster spot he needs is not available. And they need to open up that roster spot sooner rather than later because you're going to blink, you're going to snap in the regular season, training camp, all that stuff's going to be here. And you're going to be like, oh, wow, we still have to figure out that roster situation, huh? So, you know, it's probably gonna be Max and Olivier, Max and Prosper, or Jaden Hardy, most likely. That is moved on somewhere else. Um, Dwight Powell possibly. Um, I just it has to get done because if you signed Dante Exum, you knew you needed to do this in order to bring him in. So you should have had a plan in place beforehand if you're going to bring Dante Exum back in and lock him back in. You should have had a plan beforehand with your roster spot to bring him back in way more smoothly because we shouldn't be, a month and some change out from um, off season from free agency, and this is not done. So again, I'm gonna keep bringing it up until it's done because this is starting to get a little ridiculous, if you ask me. I get it's quiet season in the NBA. I get, not a lot of talk happens around this time of year, but this is something that needs to get done for your roster. So something has to give a little bit, and you gotta pick up the pace here a little bit on this issue if you're the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison. But to wrap things up here on the Mavs latest with a little Mavs chatter. D'Angelo Russell, he joined Dwayne Wade on his podcast, and he brought up, the differences from playing in Brooklyn compared to playing in Los Angeles after signing with the Mavericks this season. And, you know, he wanted to compare and contrast on the Y network with Dwayne Wade. And the organization in Brooklyn is different. It's unlike any other. The performance team, coach, everything about Brooklyn's different than you would expect. And what I've been around the league, where I come from, the Lakers, where the structure is not the same. Then I go to Brooklyn, where it's all structure. It taught me how to be a professional. It's not. Oh, it's. I always approached the game, excuse me, to where I was kind of nonchalant. I felt like I would just wing it during his time with the Nets. That would change, and it prolonged his career. He said, when I got to Brooklyn, it taught me how to be a professional, how to sleep, how to eat, how to recover, and that's why I'm playing to this day. Honestly, I'm not the guy that's athletic. I'm the guy that had to take care of my body. I had to recover. I had to eat the best. I couldn't just show up, and that's what Brooklyn really taught me, and I've really enjoyed it ever since. So, wow, I never expected in my life to hear a person saying, yeah, when I got traded from the Lakers to the Nets, I really learned how to be a professional. Well, let that sink in a little bit. I left the Lakers and went to the Brooklyn Nets, and I learned how to be a professional. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But this has been another Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard. Again, subscribe down below. Leave all the comments you got for me down below as well. And let's get it, y'all.